Hello everybody, welcome back to another stupendous video. I hope everything is going well for you all, but today I want to talk about possibly one of the last few real ones in the game, and I'm talking about Mike. Okay, when I sit here and make the claim that he's one of the few real rappers around, I'm not talking about nostalgia or technical skill or like boom bap. I'm talking about a certain set of values that have mostly disappeared in today's mainstream hip-hop. Mike just comes off as one of the very few people in the game that actually gives a fuck solely about rapping, not anything stupid. These rappers nowadays typically have a stench of clout chaser to them. Not all of them, but a large part, of the artists in hip-hop in current times are a little with the shenanigans. They tend to do things for virality or for attention and not for the actual love of the craft. Mike Bonema, aka Mike, hailing from Livingston, New Jersey, but residing in New York, has been quietly bringing a breath of fresh air when it comes to the music, and he's been doing this since 2017.
Pack me a soda and marry a card. 40 South stand out the park. 40 South stand out the park. Straight from the park, uptown bound.
In reality, though, Mike has been into music since a young child because on top of living in New Jersey and New York, he also lived in London as a child where he was absorbing British hip-hop and grime culture. It was just that in 2017, he officially dropped his debut mixtape titled May God Bless Your Hustle, and from then on, he's been building a very impressive discography. To me, when we talk about Mike, we also got to talk about the most slept on, underrated rappers when we talk about his name, okay? Like, no bullshit, this might be a hot take, but Mike to me is like the start of a new golden era. And granted, yes, he's been dropping since 2017. I just think what he's bringing and what he's basically been doing is something that needs to happen in order for hip-hop to be good again, basically. I really believe that Mike will be in the forefront when hip-hop makes a swing back to a golden era, if that makes sense. The things Big Mike brings to the table is something reminiscent of a better time in hip-hop while also still maintaining a fresh, young, new type of energy. I think he's able to do this due to his multicultural upbringing and also the wonderful people around him. The most important person to ever be around Mike, though, was his mom, obviously. And if you listen to Mike's discography, it's very important just how important she was to him. The passing of his mother at a young age was a crucial turning point in his life, but the passion that he brings to hip-hop is like an echo of his mother's love, and I feel it every time I hear him honor her. And unlike many artists who reference their trauma in their music, Mike's entire catalog feels like a long-term processing of grief. I genuinely feel like his emotional honesty about the situation with his mother is like the backbone of his sound. But beyond that, he definitely has other people that are very impactful and important. And one of the few standout groups to me is the whole Slums collective that he came up with. I'm not going to really dive too deep on the collective because it was a pretty small, short-lived thing, but it was an important thing in the sense that by being with multiple talented underground rappers at his level, Mike was able to really take time to develop his sound amongst like-minded individuals. Most importantly, though, through the Slums experience, he was able to work with someone pretty instrumental. Earl Sweatshirt to me has always kind of been under the MF Doom umbrella, and by that I mean that Earl's sound has always been slightly reminiscent of the late but great MF Doom. On that note, by the way, I've always theorized that MF Doom is the reason Mike's name is in all caps, but who knows, maybe it's just a quinky dink. Anyways though, Earl and Mike would take a liking to each other, and I'm sure for Mike he was a tremendous friend to gain, considering at the time Mike was an aspiring up-and-coming rapper and Earl was already a solidified stamped MC. Not only that, but they honestly both have a similar skill set, and since Earl has been rapping for a while now, I don't doubt that Mike was able to soak up some game when it comes to the rapping shit.
Who's your GOAT rapper?
No pressure.
It's weird. It's a weird question.
Go left. They like that.
Mike. Fuck it.
I love you for that.
It's Mike.
You can't
It's
really
Big
argue.
Baby Jesus Mike, man. This is the truth. This is it.
Mike and Earl's first official song together is a track titled All Star from Mike's 2020 album titled Weight of the World, which by the way was an amazing album. But from then on, Earl Sweatshirt became a semi-regular collaborator, and to be honest, they are some of the highlights in Mike's discography. But look, beyond Earl and them, The Alchemist has also became a very significant part of his career too, in my eyes. The tracks produced by Alchemist are honestly some of my favorite songs from Mike because The Alchemist really takes Mike's sound to the next level. If you listen to Mike consistently, you know that a large portion of Mike's discography is produced in a very raw way. You know, it's a little distorted, but it's still very listenable. It's not the most polished production, but that's not a slight in any way. I actually really enjoy it, but The Alchemist just refines that sound and makes it so much more crazier. And that's not even mentioning their collab album with Wiki titled Faith is a Rock, because that project is phenomenal. I highly suggest you go and listen to the Mike and The Alchemist tracks. But look, beyond the Slums, Earl Sweatshirt, and The Alchemist, and all the other significant figures in Mike's life, Mike himself is the real star, and I think he's what hip-hop needs if it's gonna get better. Someone who actually gives a fuck about hip-hop. I would sit here and pick through his entire discography and explain why each album is so important, but one, it would take an eternity because this dude has a pretty sizable discography, and two, I wouldn't really be doing my point justice because the true way to understand it is just to go listen to it for yourself, man. And although he does, you know, rap about sad things throughout his discography, he definitely has a lot of uplifting, very groovy, very, you know, vibey songs that honestly anyone can enjoy. To me, Mike's career is a strong testament to the idea that real, true artistry will always prevail, and I hope more upcoming rappers follow in his footsteps. I'm very eager to listen to whatever Mike has in store because I believe he actually cares about the art. But let me know what y'all think in the comments, though. You know, have you actually stopped to listen to Mike? If you haven't, you really should. You're missing out if you're not, and especially if you're an actual hip-hop fan. But let me know what you guys think, you know. Anyways, if you watched the video all the way to the end, thank you so much, as it truly means the world to me. If you want me to make a video on anything specific, I don't mind taking suggestions. But until next time, goodbye.